So I've been looking for a foot-shaped leather waterproof boot that's good for everyday city use, and I think I have found it. This is a Lems Boulder waterproof boot. It's all leather with a treated waterproof upper, a gusseted tongue, and a sole that's akin to Lems' more casual offerings like the Chillum and the Chukka boot. Let's just look at the boot itself. There's a bit of branding here on the side, on the tongue, and also there is a waterproof badge here. And honestly, I think we could have done fine with fewer logos. We can keep it minimalist here, guys. And on the toe, we do have a mock toe, which I do like the aesthetic of, although what does happen in practice is that water does tend to puddle around the toe box here, and I'm not sure how that will affect the waterproofing over time. The toe box is on Lems' medium width in terms of their width spectrum. They have their natural wide and widest, I think, or something like that. And they have an insole that's removable. This is what the insole looks like. I've been doing without the insole. This is 3mm and the sole is 9mm, so all in all that is a stack height of 12mm if you want to wear it with the insole. These size 10.5s weigh just this much. And for comparison, let's compare that to some old leather boots that I have. You can definitely see the difference, right? Now yes, this is not technically the most minimalist shoe out there, just in terms of stack height. Again, it's 9mm without the insole. But for me, I've been wearing barefoot shoes for 1.5 years. I think this thickness is the sweet spot for me. I have tried way more minimal shoes than this, and oftentimes my feet end up hurting after, say, the 15,000 step mark. Now these shoes came with two types of laces. These ones, which I have on, are black with some white specks on them, and I really like this look, but there are also some plain black laces that came with the box if you want a more minimal look. Anyway, that's enough about this shoe. Let's actually just wear it outside. I have a few wear tests, and this is gonna be my first day out.
So today's a Saturday. I'm just gonna walk around the city of Sydney, show you around a bit, but also try to see how these boots will stand up against the rain. So it actually hasn't been raining super hard, but the first impressions for me after a few thousand steps, the leather is very soft and already feels a bit broken in, but the problem is that because I have pretty high volume feet, I can't lace it all the way up. You can see there's not much space to tie these laces, so I have to keep one eyelet undone. And I actually think this gives me a bit more ankle flexibility, which is a good thing because I didn't want to feel too cramped in boots, especially high top boots like these. Okay, so a bit of a break, got a matcha latte. The shoe's been pretty good, I'm pretty impressed. I'll walk a few more thousand steps, try to actually see if it rains a bit harder, and we'll see how it performs then. So it kind of stopped raining, and I don't know, I can't trust the weather forecast anymore, I guess. So we'll just have to maybe do this another day and see if this is really weatherproof. I guess I spoke too soon. Alright, so we're just getting out of the station now, and so far I've been really impressed with these shoes. I had to walk through a few puddles and it handled it really well. And I think that's a pretty successful day one. In terms of the grip, it's just good enough for city walks, but I'm not sure how it'll fare yet on a proper hike. So maybe I'll try that next time. All in all though, for a wet city day, this is probably gonna be my go-to shoe.
Alright, that was the first day out. Now I actually just wanted to wear this to the office. And one thing I did want to check in this one is the breathability of it for everyday use.
Alright, as y'all can see, it's a very, very rainy day in Sydney right now, so I'm taking my Lems Boulder boot to work as my primary rain boot, and we'll see how it goes. I gotta say I'm pleasantly surprised by the grip. Like, this isn't a hiking shoe at all, so I wasn't expecting much, but it's not slippery even though I am walking on tiles half of the time, especially on the train station. We're just here on the train now. It was a very rainy morning, as you can see, but the feet are dry, which is good. The boots are sort of soaked from the outside, but none of it has sort of entered and wet my feet at all. So I'm just walking back now after a day in the office. As you can see, it was a very rainy day, and I am very happy with how these boots did. I think they did really well.
Right now it's around the Australian winter and it is sub 20 degrees Celsius or sub 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the breathability there is just fine. I am not sure how this will do around the warmer Australian summers when it gets really hot, but these shoes weren't built for that use case anyway. Now, one thing I wasn't sure about was how would this shoe do as a hiking boot? Lems does not really advertise this as a hardcore hiking boot. They have a whole line of hiking boots which have much grippier, more aggressive soles. But I just wanted to see and push this to its limit a bit. So I took it out on a fairly beginner-friendly trail here in Sydney, and this is how we went.
Okay, so I forgot to bring my dead cat, so the footage was basically inaudible. So we are switching to a voiceover. We're in a beachside suburb called Malabar, around 20 minutes away from the Sydney CBD, and they have a national park. It's been raining for the past few days, and I took the Lems Boulder Boot waterproof out on an easy trail, a mix of steel footpaths like these, and wet rocks. I wasn't expecting much here in terms of grip, but I was pleasantly surprised. And most importantly, when we did need to cross some water, my feet were dry the whole time. Let's just take a moment to admire how beautiful Sydney, Australia is though. This is just 20 minutes away from the city. This did get me thinking that this would be an excellent travel or vacation boot if you're traveling to a cooler environment. Especially if you're not going to get into more technical hiking trails, you won't need to pack additional shoes for hiking, for wet weather, for everyday city walks. I'm definitely gonna bring this on my next holiday. One thing to note here is that these shoes are not super wide in practice. Even though I've owned Lems shoes in this wide last, for some reason, maybe due to the stiffer leather, my pinky toe experienced a lot of irritation. Once I took the insoles out though, we were good, so I think this is just something to keep in mind when you're considering your sizing. But all in all, once the insoles were out, these were fantastic and these were super comfortable, even on a walk as long as this, with minimal break-in period required.
So yeah, pleasantly surprised at how these shoes performed on a relatively long-ish hike. This was around 10,000 steps, and I was expecting it to be a bit more slippery, especially when I was traversing through those slippery, rained-on rocks. But I felt secure every time. Again, just to echo what I said there, one observation is that this shoe is not the widest shoe out there. For me, this is probably the narrowest that I would go while still staying comfortable. And when I actually was wearing these shoes with insoles in one of my previous days, I did start to get a bit of pinching. If you have feet that are probably 2E or wider, this is probably the narrowest that you can go while still staying comfortable. Lems does carry some boots on their widest last, so check those out as well. I think the Chelsea boot is on the widest last. But hey, overall, very impressed. Everything that I wanted it to do, it was able to do well. I was able to wear it out on the city. I was able to wear it on really cold days, on really rainy days. My socks did not even get wet at all, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves, honestly. Wet socks or wet feet. Highly recommend this. Check it out, links in the video description below. And if you want to hear about my barefoot shoe transition, check out this video I posted right here around a year ago.